Bonjour, bonsoir mesdames et messieurs, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mesdames et messieurs, je suis aujourd'hui avec un très très grand graphiste, euh, un très très grand illustrateur, comme on dirait, mesdames et messieurs. Et bien évidemment, ça sera une interview encore une fois totalement en anglais. Et oui, apprenez l'anglais, c'est pas mon problème. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new episode of Le Crew, the 12 one, 1 and 2, 12. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with one of the most, maybe prolific, one of the most prolific illustrators in our business today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the grand Mohammed Fahmy.
How are you?
You might know this gentleman for designing a lot of well-known how could I say that posters. What you do is that you illustrate posters for big upcoming show, especially for All Elite and even New Japan Pro Wrestling as of late. So we're gonna go first with the first question, Mr. Fahmi. What is with the uprising with the recent uprising of AI trying to take over artistic jobs like graphic designing, illustrating, or even animating? Do you feel as like one of the biggest names in wrestling illustration? Do you feel in any way threatened, or maybe you have like a certain opinion on this matter?
Well, to be completely honest, my opinion on AI and using it in graphic can take a lot of time. So let's keep it for another time. But honestly, I don't feel threatened by AI, at least right now.
Yeah.
It can generate impressive, eye-catching images, but graphic design is much more than a cool visual. Or graphic design needs to convey emotions to the viewer. It needs to capture the feel and the storyline behind the matches. So yeah, it can make some cool stuff, cool looking stuff, but that's not graphic design. So yeah, I don't feel uh, necessarily threatened.
All right. Speaking of the emotions you transfer when you make illustrations, with 12 years of experience under your belt, what was your most accomplished work?
That would be the All In 2018 poster. I don't know if you can see it in the background or you have cropped me, but it's hanging right there. That has to be the my most accomplished work. Again, when you look at it, the design is simple. It
Yeah.
has never been, or the challenge has never been about the craziest composition or the most difficult scene to compose. It was about, again, capturing the feel and the story of the show's creation. So that was the true challenge. And when you look at the magnitude of the event, I think I did well when it comes to capturing the feel and the story. And it became widely associated with the show. And for a certain period of time, with all wrestling shows taking place in Chicago,
Yeah.
even up until all the first All Out, you can when you compare the two posters, you will see the similarities.
Hmm.
Yeah, that shows the effect the All In 2018 poster had.
Speaking of your most accomplished works, what was your most tiring one?
Okay, so my most tiring one, or the only tiring poster I can think of right now, has to be the poster of the last ever ROH Best in the World show. If
Oh.
I remember correctly, it was 2021. That period of time, ROH or ROH's posters often featured like almost the entire roster on them, which was difficult to work on. You'd be cutting out and arranging 30 plus wrestlers, positioning them based on their place on the card, or their ongoing storyline while still trying to keep the colors, the tone, the effect consistent across all the wrestlers. I've done few of those, but the most tiring one has to be, as I said, the best in the world poster. It had over 40 wrestlers featured, so it was tiring.
Uh, yes, and it is well known that graphic designing or illustrating isn't the most well regarded job around, especially for freelancers, people who just starting out and want to become like as an established illustrator as yourself. So, do you have any advice for them?
I do have an advice that can sound very cliche, but I feel it really matters, especially in graphic design. That advice is just keep doing what you love and don't let criticism get to you. Can I give you a little story about how I learned graphic design? Because I feel like it
Yes, of
links
course,
and resonates with this question.
of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
go for
thank
it.
you. Yeah, I started learning graphic design in 2009. And back then, especially in Egypt, where I come from, graphic design wasn't really considered a career. And most people didn't even understand what graphic design is. When you add what I'm about to say to the mix, it makes things harder. Because I said I would work as a graphic designer and I would work remotely, that means that you won't wake up early and go to some place to practice your work. You'll work from home. That was considered laziness or an unserious job or unstable job. Lastly, and to make matters worse to my parents, I told them that I would be working as a graphic designer for wrestling companies. Wrestling companies, that's a show we watch on TV with these larger than life characters. And now you're telling me that you will work with the promoters or those in charge of the shows. So yeah, to my parents, this was like a child's dream, something that would distract me from school. But I kept doing what I loved because I truly believed that I can reach something. I can work in the wrestling industry. I kept learning and learning. The progress was slow back then. There wasn't this much content on the internet and much tutorials and tools, so the progress was slow. But I kept going on. I kept making fan art pieces for WWE and TNA. And in late 2014, I got my first job as a graphic designer for a wrestling company. And gradually, they started seeing the work. They started seeing that I'm making money, and now they're convinced. They understand graphic design. They understand working remotely, and believe that working with wrestling companies in far continents is possible.
S- Speaking of which, now that you just said it, what was the precursor to your entry in the business of wrestling? What was the thing or the event or the moment you said yes? I want to enter this business. I want to work for this business.
As I said, I started learning in 2009. A year earlier, my brother and I were online on wrestling forums, Arabic speaking wrestling forums, and we came across the graphics department. He knew how to use Photoshop back then, and he showed me how to make things like I saw on that forum. And in that particular moment, I feel like I fell in love with making wrestling graphics. At that time, I didn't plan that it will be my job, but I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna continue learning. So that's the moment I started. I said yes. I will keep doing this.
All right. And speaking of your big, you have like like we've said, you have 12 years under your belt in the illustrating business. What is it like to see the evolution of graphic designing in the world of wrestling and more generally in the world happening in real time?
It's quite interesting to see how things evolve in the wrestling business when it's related to graphics. I mean, so yeah, it's interesting. However, it can sometimes be a little bit frustrating because when you think about it, graphic designers nowadays have more tools and more resources at their disposal, more than they used to have back when I was still learning. Yet the outcome rarely reflects the potential. I see people with potential, tools, and resources, and the final outcome is, I'm not going to say lackluster, but as I said, it doesn't reflect or doesn't match the potential. And that's not entirely the graphic designer's fault. The ever changing, the ever shifting industry standards, and the fast paced production cycle, and the short turnaround times, and the guidelines promoters would put really limits graphic designers. So I feel like, yes, we evolved, but it's now the challenge is no longer making great graphics. It's making stuff that still look good under the pressure and under all the guidelines and industry standards.
All right. And speak with all of this, like career achievements and all those all this work you have done in the past 12 years. Do you think you deserve all of people's praises? Do you feel like you have achieved?
That's a tough question. I appreciate the praise I get online. So I don't consider it something that I deserve. It's something I appreciate. It's a sign not of how great I am. It's a sign that what I'm trying to convey to the viewer was received, everything connected, they liked it, so they praised it. So yeah, to shorten this answer, I appreciate it more than thinking I deserve it. So I appreciate the praise.
Oh, all right. And speaking of the praises, what is the work the most you're the most proud of?
Okay, I can say the All in London, the first All in London cinematic poster set. That's the work I'm most proud of because I've had this idea of having cinematic posters for matches or for wrestlers ever since I started working with AEW. But for different reasons, it didn't come together. So I kept trying, and nothing happened until we reached the preparation phase for All in London. And I told myself, this is the biggest show in the company's history. If it's not now, then when? So I said to myself, okay, I will do my best to make it happen this time. And I did. Studied all the gimmicks. I studied all the dynamics, all the storylines. I took a deep dive in AEW's massive photo archive and gathered the material I'll need, which took days, by the way. It wasn't easy. And once everything was locked in, I sat down and I did what I had in mind in the weeks leading up to the show, sent the whole batch to AEW. They liked it. They posted it. It got a great attention on a great engagement online and attraction. So I was very proud that I managed to make something special, make something the company hasn't made before for this massive event.
Speaking of your many accomplishments, what are your inspirations when it comes to illustrating?
I just watch a lot. I watch a lot of wrestling graphics. I watch all the new, official and fan art, good and bad. I just watch and actually enjoy doing it. I enjoy seeing graphic design, wrestling graphics or designs, and I enjoy analyzing them from a graphic design standpoint and from presentation standpoint. So yeah, that really strengthens your imagination and you know makes your thinking. I don't know how to put this. When you watch a lot, you know, you kind of know